Hey again. So now I'm going to be reviewing Sisters Red by Jackson Pearce, and I'll start by reading the back of the book. Love and fear collide in a twilight world. Countless teenage girls have been brutally murdered, and Scarlet and Rosie March know how they died, torn apart by werewolves. For Scarlet, the memories of a similar attack have left not just emotional scars, but physical ones. The sisters fight side by side to save others from the same fate. When the mysterious and brooding Silas arrives, he inadvertently causes a series of events that could endanger them all. As passion grows between Rosie and Silas, Scarlet uncovers some shocking secrets that could tear the sisters apart, one way or another. Okay, so this has been on my to-read pile for a long time. I got it a couple of hauls ago, and I saw it when it first came out last year, I think, in hardback. And I don't normally buy a hardback unless I'm really sure about it, most of the time. And I was quite happy to wait for this to come to paperback, because it's a twist on Red Riding Hood, and Red Riding Hood is not one of my favourite fairy tales, so that wasn't a really big draw for me, but it sounds like a good book, so I wanted to read it. And I love Jackson Pearce's YouTube channel. She's very funny, she makes great videos, and that kind of comes across in her writing. She has a great sense of humour, and this cover is a really clever and beautiful cover. Like, you have the wolf eyes here, and then like where his eyebrows are sort of shaped, that becomes then her black hair, and then you have the sisters red. It's just a cool cover, basically. And I did enjoy it. It took me 4 days. Well, the day I started reading it, I only read the prologue. It didn't hook me in, so that's all I read that day, and then I didn't read anything else. So it didn't really hook me in. So that didn't really count as a day of reading, because it's only like 10 pages, so that didn't really count. So really, only took me 3-ish days to read. Not very. I think it's 344 pages. The text is quite big, and it's told in alternating chapters between the point of view of Scarlet, the older sister, and then Rosie, the younger sister. And their grandmother was killed by a wolf, and Scarlet was scarred, and now they hunt wolves, and to make sure that no young girls have to go through what they went through. And the wolves hunt and devour young girls. That's what they really like to devour, young girls, young pretty girls. So they lure them and kill them. And for Scarlet, it's a real passion and a need. The need to hunt and kill wolves basically consumes her, because she was the one that was scarred, protecting her younger sister. Rosie does it because she's doing it makes her feel close to her sister, but secretly she really wants other things. Like, she wants to learn to dance or draw. She wants something else in her life other than hunting wolves, whereas for her sister, that's all she needs. And then Silas arrives. Now, he's actually been a friend from childhood, and he's been away for a year visiting his uncle, and he actually sees Rosie, and he starts to feel attracted to Rosie. And when Scarlet finds out, it's sort of because Rosie feels the same back eventually, and they move to the city to try and hunt more wolves. She feels very betrayed, because she feels she can't understand how they can have something else in their life, like how they can kiss and cuddle when there are wolves out there. She can't comprehend why they want something else. And I found that sometimes that could be, I mean, I understand that it's her personality and she was scarred, but sometimes she could be really jealous and really selfish. And she says that she's, protecting her sister, and her sister's all she's got. But she doesn't really let Rosie loose. Like, she wants Rosie to hunt with her, but she won't let Rosie hunt on her own, and that makes Rosie angry. And yet she doesn't want her to go off and do other things. So sort of double standards in a way, but you sort of understand where she's coming from because of the scars that she went through. Um, and Silas is slightly older. Rosie's the youngest, and then Scarlett's like 2 years older, and then Silas is then like 2-3 years older again. And then there's a secret with him that could destroy everything. I really like it. It's I think it's a standalone, but there is a companion novel, Sweetly, coming out. But otherwise, it's not a series or anything, which is really nice and refreshing to not have to get into a series, because it seems most books are either in a trilogy or a series, and as much as they're great series, you just sometimes like to read something that you don't have a cliffhanger, or you don't have to wait for the next book. You can just read it and go, yeah, that was great, it had everything it needed. What was great in this book, it was so full of action. They were always like hunting wolves, killing wolves, researching how to find this potential that has the sort of makeup to be turned into a wolf, which is rare. So I really liked it, and the romance between Silas and Rosie is sort of gradual. It's like an instant attraction, but they don't always act on it. It's gradual. There maybe could have been a little bit more in that romance wise. I mean, they really love each other in it, and you can tell, but it just maybe needs a little bit more with them. It sometimes didn't seem like quite enough, considering the effect on Scarlett that their romance has. There could have been more between them, I think. Maybe I'm just asking for too much, I don't know. But I really liked it. Jackson Pearce has a really great writing style. Even though it didn't hook me in the beginning, that could have just been me, how I was feeling, and like, maybe, I don't know. I normally get hooked into a book pretty quickly, and after the prologue, it was pretty good. It got kept up a pretty good pace, I thought, and definitely a cool take on Red Riding Hood. I love how Scarlett and Rosie relate to the sisters Red, and then they wear red cloaks to attract wolves and everything like that. It's a really good book. If you haven't checked it out, I really would give it a go, because I was pleasantly surprised that I liked it so much. Out of 5, I don't know. I'm torn of what to give it. I wouldn't give it a 5 because it's not my favourite book. It was just a really nice paranormal YA take on Red Riding Hood, so I really liked that, because I'm really into books that put twists on classic fairy tales or myths. So I liked that, gave it points for me. But out of 5 stars, what would I give it? Maybe a 3.5, and that seems low, but sometimes I didn't really like Scarlett. I found reading her really frustrating, which I suppose it's good that it brings out that sort of emotion, but I just found her really annoyingly selfish sometimes, and that made me really angry. I really liked Rosie though, she was a great sister, and I liked Silas, but I think the draggy prologue, for me, the fact they didn't hook me in straight away, yeah, I think I'll give it 3.5. I still would recommend it, but I think imagine most people have already read this now. But 3.5, it was a really good book, and I really enjoyed it, so happy reading.